That's You got 5 minutes in 5 minutes?
Yeah, yeah, don't even go down that shit. Good God's alive. All right, what am I
No.
sitting on? Why am I not? Am I sitting in the wrong? Oh, there we go. All right. We only have 8 people. Is that because we're always late?
I don't know.
Maybe.
No, I don't think so. Because I don't think there was any more, you know, right at 10.
Went from 8 to 5. What do we do? Do we piss somebody off?
Ryan, what'd you say?
I didn't say or do anything.
I don't
No,
do anything.
done. And your background is showing up on the video. Oh, there we go. I'm getting confused. 6.
Let's click this button. Oh, check that out.
Oh, I like what it did with your beard.
Yeah, you look like a
Right?
bit of Santa Claus going on there.
It's like snowing. This is awesome. Is it going to give you a headache? Are you going to have a seizure, though?
I'm in good shape for the minute. I think so.
What do you think, Ryan? Should I keep it?
You might give somebody epilepsy. Just saying.
Well, you can't give them epilepsy. They either have it or they don't.
No.
Is it possible?
We live in a post-truth era. I get to make up whatever I want, and you have to believe it. Those are the rules. They've been established. Don't believe me? Watch Social Dilemma.
Cow one. It's one of those days, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the cat. I don't know which background to use. All right, we'll just go all professional like.
Right, roll.
There you go.
Welcome, boardroom. I call the board meeting to call this meeting to order.
Go for it.
Do you have a gavel? Do I need a gavel? I got to pound something. I don't have anything to hit right now. All right, so here we are. Accountability. This has been on my mind for a while, ever since. It's always been on my mind, but it came to a head when we had that ransomware talk a couple of episodes ago, episode 8. Where we were kind of beating our heads against the wall, thinking, why the hell don't people get this? Why do we keep repeating the mistake? And that was the theme last week too, when you put together that really cool timeline about history and the battles and the defenses that we've put in place and how they've been ineffective and what things have been effective. And here we are, and we're still repeating history's mistakes. And so being a guy that isn't one to give up, it's like, what the hell do we have to do? What do we have to change to affect the world positively, right? And I think a lot of it comes down to accountability. It's either people don't realize that they're accountable for something, and so they're just ignorant. They just kind of float and just assume that other people are taking care of this shit for them, or they don't care, right? They know that they're supposed to be responsible, but I don't give a shit. I'm chasing the money, or I'm chasing whatever. I don't want to take the time to do what I'm supposed to do. And I think a lot of times we take for granted who's actually suffering when we get this shit wrong. So this accountability thing, from episode 18, I wrote that ransomware recovery contract, which now I think handed out to, I don't know, a dozen or so, MSSPs, partners. They're starting to share it with their customers so that they can assure their customers that, look, we're doing these 10 basic things to recover from ransomware if we get hit. And so there's an accountability that we're attesting to this shit. And then there's an accountability from the executive management. They also sign the contract saying that they understand that this is their responsibility. And no matter what we do, we can't stop everything, right? There'll still be times when we can't recover for whatever reason, right? And so, and then last week I was, being interviewed for an article for state and local government. And we were talking about governance, and the importance of governance. Governance has gotten a shitty app because I think a lot of us have done it wrong. But the we were talking about cities and how there's no one way that cities are really run. From one city to the next, there might be different organizational charts. And so if you just Google city org chart, you'll see for yourself. And so I made the challenge to the person who was interviewing me. I said, if I pick up the phone right now and call the city of Champaign, call council members, and I ask them who's ultimately responsible for information security in your city, I guarantee you that they're going to say, well, you need to talk to our director of IT for that. So if you look at the Champaign, city government org chart, the director of IT is a couple notches down, right? So that's the person ultimately responsible for information security at the city, when it should be, you and I, it should be the top of the org chart. It should be the city council. It should be the mayor. So that led us kind of to here where we're at now, where I wanted to talk about accountability, what you guys think, what you guys see, what you guys, what your opinions are, all this shit. So you go.
Yeah,
Boom, boom.
So accountability is such an important part of it, because we look at how we do insurance, and if you've got culpability or accountability in a scenario in insurance, specifically driving in certain states, right? You get into a car accident, you're at fault, right? Those are factored into the risk equations for insurance. You've got accountability in the aspect of how we're behaving and interacting right now, or how certain companies are behaving and interacting right now. And then you've got our information security accountability. And I think all of that ultimately goes back to the top of any organization, right? Whether it's the way that you engage your users, whether it's how you do your information security. I don't know why it's treated differently from the rest of the stuff that, remember the old sign, the buck stops here, right? And that was always on the boss's door, right? The boss man, the guy in charge, right? You look at any military hierarchy, and the buck stops where? At the ultimate top. That's where it is. That's where the accountability lies. So I think in information and cybersecurity, it should be the same. It should be the highest office, right? It should be ultimately accountable. Now, is the director of IT responsible? Yes. Yes, he is. Yes, 100%. That's a responsible, if you're looking at a RASCI chart, it's responsible. I don't know, Chris, do you disagree? I don't think.
It's a tough one. So we had there was a conversation going on just today. It was on LinkedIn or something, and it was, I think, Evan, you posted something about it, about the you posted a little bit about the ransomware stuff that happened that unfortunately, killed the individual in Germany. And so, we spent a bit of time dissecting that and stuff like that. But then it's like, okay, so now let's take a step back. How did that happen? Why did that happen? What made it happen? What were the correct circumstances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Then the question then becomes one of, should somebody be held for manslaughter? And if so, who? Is it the CISO? Is it the CEO? Is it in the healthcare facility? Is it somebody, who's actually running the hospital? Is it that individual, those individuals? Is it the board? I mean, at that point in time, somebody to that point, if we're going to go back to the buck stops here, somebody's going to be knocking on somebody's door going, ultimately, you're the one asleep at the wheel. Now, here's the challenge with some of that. And we've all seen this, unfortunately, especially in our industry. We talk about, we were talking a little bit earlier, about compliance audits and some other things, and how unfortunately so many organizations do just enough to get past that audit of compliance. They're in compliance, they passed it, somebody somewhere signed off on it. Either the lawyer has said, oh yeah, we're perfectly okay just doing this, and they'll spend half the time arguing, at which point do we string the lawyers up? Do we string the marketing people up on our side, and the sales and marketing people and some of the other people on our side who keep making promises that, and again, look at the CEO. The CEO is like, hey, I bought all the shit you told me. I put my IDS, my IPS, my DLP, my HIDs in place. I did all the other shit. I put my endpoint in place. I put this year's blinky lights in place. I plugged all this shit in. I thought I had people watching it. I was told by you bastards that everything was fine. Don't fucking come knocking at my door. You were the bastards that told me I was secure.
Well, and
Right.
that there's accountability there. I mean, vendor accountability, truth in advertising. I was just talking about this today. I was doing a interview for an article as well, because, you know, right hand to Evan. So he interviews, I interview. But there's a whole thing there where it's like, okay, what is the accountability of the vendor when they sold me a product that did not work as advertised, which I was pretty sure, you know, that's called fraud. And then when it didn't work as advertised, their remedy is I give them more money for a different product or service. Something seems off in that. Something seems like if that's how a car worked, we'd be up in arms. If that's how, I mean, just
Better Business Bureau. So perfect example. I mean, again, I'll take myself, perfect example. For a while, and even to some degree now, I can't go, well, I can get a little bit better. I can't go to a tier 1 company and buy a car. They'll laugh me out of the door. But I can go to like one of the places that's, you know, a little bit dodgy, buy here, pay here, or something like that. How often have you gone to a buy here, pay here place? You bought the car, driven it for a period of time outside of the 3-day warranty return thing, and the damn thing breaks. So you take it back and they're like, well, you know, we'll do it at cost for you. They got you coming, they got you going. And by the way, they're also charging you, you know, 18% for the pleasure of the whole thing. And it feels like it feels in some ways we're not far off of that. I got you coming because you don't have many other options. Let's face it, you got compliance breathing down your neck saying thou shalt buy IDS, IPS, DLP hits, endpoint, all this shit. I got you one way. And then when shit breaks, I'm going to get you on the remediation, the incident response. When you actually have to negotiate with the adversaries or the attackers, we'll get you there because obviously I've got to do all the Bitcoin shenanigans for you. And then I'm going to get you for the next couple of years on remediation and risk mitigation.
Right. So what typically happens when things go bad? When there's a breach, who takes responsibility? Is it a finger pointing? I mean, it seems like nobody takes responsibility. It's just another thing and we just accept it and we move on.
I believe it's pronounced bad guys are bad. Okay. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's
yeah.
the attitude. That's the attitude. Bad guys
Is
are
that
bad.
good enough?
No, but that's the attitude. There's a whole lot of not
Right,
good
right. Well, right, but that's the shit show, right? I mean, you talk about the shit that's shit, and then we can talk about, you know, what are things that we can do to fix it.
Well,
You know what I mean?
and what's sad is most of the most effective solutions are the simplest, are the fundamental foundation block, high effort, low cost. Those are the things that really set you in a position to be defensible. I mean, if you think about backup strategy, everybody worried about ransomware. Well, invest a little bit of love and, you know, a little TLC into your backups. I was just telling one of my clients today, it's time to buy a new tape backup. I want you to go back to tape. You want good advice? You want to be ransomware ready? I need you to go back to tape and do a sanitization process in between backup and tape backup. Make sure your stuff's clean as good as you can.
Yeah.
That's not that expensive of a solution. We found used ones on the market for $1,000. That's not what they're going to go with, but we could get them.
Did they look at you in a strange way, or did they understand where you were going? How much explaining did it take before they
Here's
actually
the beautiful thing. My clients trust me in the way that a friend or a family member trusts. They
Right.
understand that I really am looking out for their best benefit, and I will never, ever pitch anything to them or spend one nickel they don't need to spend if it doesn't help. So because that's established, I have the blessing of not having to explain anything. I'm just like, this is what you should do. This is best practice. Take it for what it is. And they're like, well, let's cost that out. Let's figure that out. We want to do what's right. And I'm like, I'm sorry to tell you that, you know, tape is back in fashion, but
Tape is back in fashion.
tape is back in fashion.
All right, so back to Evan's point. let's take the fact. I mean, we've lost people in this industry, arguably to breaches already, but let's take the one that we know about, the one that everybody's basically pinning this on. Somebody died because of a ransomware attack. Some motherfucker has going to go to jail for it. Who?
Well, yeah. Back to attribution. The person who launched the attack, right? Assuming you could ever find them and
Good
put them
luck
in
on
jail.
that one.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
but sometimes you have that shit too, right? People get away with murder. People get away with shit.
Yeah.
You can't always find the person who's ultimately responsible.
Well, I mean,
I guess, but
yeah.
there's more to it than just somebody's head's got to roll. I don't know what protections were in place. I don't know if they took adequate, precautions, right? If they did the minimum, things.
Let's take ones that we know. So, I mean, pick a breach, and we're going to pick on somebody. It is what it is. Let's take ones that we know. So we can.
I know the Target breach from the inside.
Right. So Target breach. We know the Anthem breach. We know the Equifax breach. Yeah, and again, back to the blame game. Do we blame? But again, it's in the physical world. So, perfect example: if my house gets burgled, who's at fault? Well, I'm obviously the burglar is the one that took the opportune moment to burgle the house. Did the alarm go off? No. Yes. No. So is there a problem?
Was your door locked?
Yeah. Was the door locked? Did I fail to adequately use the tools at my disposal? Quite probably, yes. I failed to adequately use the tools at my disposal. So should I take the blame for that? Is the insurance company going to look at me and go, you dumbass, we gave you all the tools. You had all the tools available. You even had the keys to the fucking kingdom, yet you failed.
Right. Well, in your insurance contract, it'll be pretty clear on who's accountable for what, right? I mean, I think that's one of the things that we miss in our industry is we're not clear on who is responsible for what. Does the IT person know that they're supposed to be doing this thing or that thing, or this is how you manage, a secure program? Does exec management, yes, they approved all the budgets and everything like that, but is that all? Should they know more? Should there be more defined? Sometimes we just assume that all this shit is accounted for and covered and this is adequate and whatever. But there's nothing documented. There's no places, depending on the organization.
Yeah.
If your house gets burgled and you will be held accountable for it in terms of you will have the loss unless you can find, unless law enforcement can find the burglar and, do some restitution things. But otherwise, it's you or the insurance company.
Right.
And sometimes that's the case too, right? The victim is the victim and there isn't any recourse. You won't be able to hold somebody, ultimately accountable for the events that happened. But the part that bothers me is when I call and that, just take the most recent example, call the city and I say, who's ultimately responsible for information security? And let's say that they kind of got it right. And they said, well, we are, the city council is. Okay, great. What do? You should be able to speak to it at some level. Do you get updates about the status of information security on any kind of regular basis? Or do you just say you're accountable and don't do shit about it?
For me, it seems to be a matter of neglect, right? That's where I draw the line of accountability. Shit happens, okay? Was I ultimately accountable for the sewage hose that broke loose from my vehicle and did God knows what that I don't know? Yeah, sure I was. It's my sewage hose. I was hauling it. Was I accountable? Sure. Was I responsible for the cap falling off mid-drive and circumstances being what they were? No. That was just life happening, right? No control over it. So I think that the line lies in neglect. Now, had I known there was a second cap, had I known that cap was not properly secured, then yes, I would have been neglectful. And that's where I think the line of accountability to the point of consequence kicks in. One can be accountable for something and things go sideways. Think about parenting. You are accountable for your child. How many times has something gone sideways? And you're like, shit, not my fault. Swear to God, not my fault. I didn't do this. This wasn't me. Right? But
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you just turn them over to the legal system.
Well, there's that
Sure.
too. I've been to court with a kid once or twice. But that's what you do, right? So I think the same rules apply. I think if it is truly out of your hands, you are the poor victim. You did the best you could, and the massive hackers came after you. The best in the world, cyber criminals, I shouldn't say hackers, so the cyber criminals of the world came after you, the best, and got you. Hey, shit happens. You didn't know what you had, and port 80 was wide open, and 21 was wide open, and allow was your default firewall policy.
Yeah,
that's straight up neglect.
Right.
Well, and there's also mistakes, right? People make mistakes. There is this thing called grace, but I'll give you another example. I was calling a buddy of mine who's, was the CISO for a large global organization. He's taken a smaller, he was tired of the shit, right? You know what it's like working in big companies. Mm-hmm. And so he took a position with another company. It's maybe 500 employees. It's much smaller, but a lot less. He has now to build a security program from the ground up. He inherited one at the global, company he was at. So, he's pretty excited about it. And so he's been there a week. He calls me and he's like, I need an MSSP. Like, all right, why? Well, this, that, it's just here. We got all this shit going on. There's no structure, maturity level 0. It's just, I need some help. And I'm like, well, what hire the MSSP to do? What are you going to hold them accountable for? You're going to sign a contract for 2-3 years with this, you don't even know what to have them do. Why don't you start with that? Why don't you start with roles and responsibilities? Why don't you start with accountability? Why don't you start with, does the CEO of this company know that they're ultimately responsible for information security there? He's like, well, no, I don't think so. Well, start there, right? I would say, if you really think about this, you've got roles and responsibilities to figure out so that you know who is accountable for what, who doesn't drop the ball, whatever. Define that, and you'll always change it, right? It's not a static thing. It changes. And then go and ask management, why don't you take inventory, what the fuck you're working with, as opposed to just having an MSP? Because what will happen when you engage with an MSSP, they all hawk products, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So pretty soon you're going to have yourself, a nice MFA tool when you probably already have MFA with Office 365. I mean, you're going to have all this other shit.
Can I get a YubiKey? I want a YubiKey.
Right?
Please.
So it led me to think of, like, when do you start with defining this shit? And the answer, I think, is now. Yeah.
You have to have it, and we've already heard early discussion about CEOs being held accountable, right? Like there's some fodder there. There's some potential legislation there. There's little pockets and bubbles. A lot of this ties into privacy. You've got the whole contact tracing aspect. Just ran into an issue where somebody's like, we need to send data to the Department of Health. Sensitive data. Is our email secure? And I'm like, no. And end-to-end encryption in your organization will only cause you problems. So we need to talk about how to realistically transfer this data in a secure fashion, because an email attachment, now if you want to set up a Proton Mail to handle it, that's cool. I'm good with that. It's a one-off. Go ahead and do it. But, and that comes down to accountability, right? So let's say they send the email and it gets intercepted.
Yep.
Is the sender liable, or is the requester of data being sent via email liable? who's on the hook? And if it's unsecured email,
Liability,
is that the provider?
liability is a different. Well, and I think
Well,
liability is a different thing from accountability too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, fair enough. But isn't ultimately liability and accountability synonyms? Are you not? I mean, I know
No.
when I'm looking
No.
for who's
No,
on the hook.
I would
No, they're not
liability is,
close.
yeah, to me accountability is much more of it's kind of this and this, whereas to me liability is way more shit that the lawyers try to shove on everybody else. Back to the email example, perfect example of the email example, and we do it on a regular basis with clients. They're like, hey, can you send us our test report? Yeah, I'm not sending it on bloody email, and if I do, it's going to be encrypted. But what I'd rather do is put it up on the Google that we have in the Google Share, or up in Dropbox on an encrypted space, and it'll be protected, and I'll do it there. And that way, in my mind, I've done everything I can to get it into your hands in a way that I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is accountability. I have done everything I possibly can to make sure I've given you what you asked for in as safe a way as I possibly can. Liability, I could get away with it. I could read the contract and go, they didn't say I couldn't send it via email. They didn't say I couldn't do
Well,
this.
But aren't you? If you're accountable, hold
liability.
on.
Liability is a legal term.
Right.
Liability is in a civil case, you tip the scales one way or the other, right? And it comes down typically to negligence, right? Due care, due diligence. If you fall below the bar, you're liable. If you're above the bar, you're good. So herd mentality comes into play a lot with liability. Liability means, yes, you're going to hold somebody accountable by, something. You're going to, make them pay a monetary, penalty or something. But they're two different things. One plays off the other.
Okay. So then I guess the word I'm looking for is accountability. I mean, if you're accountable, aren't you also then ultimately responsible? So maybe I'm confusing my liability with responsibility.
That would be a better, to me, that's a better use of the word.
So in that sense, then I believe that those that are accountable are also then ultimately responsible to what they're accountable to. And I'll say this: I've been looking at our industry a little bit lately, and I'm saddened by the lack of ownership of the charge, the lack of being responsible and accountable to provide the safety to the people that we're charged with. That we're not. I just don't see us doing a great job. I see a lot of stuff and a lot of things, but I don't see a lot of people stepping up to the plate to be like, you know what, I'm going to go out on a limb. There was a LinkedIn post that went around that said that, like, who's going to step up? And I was quick to comment, I'm stepping up. Now, what about the rest of everybody else? Like, it's not hard. Yes, it takes some commitment, but I wonder how many people are in our business for a reason other than the passion to serve. And is that maybe not the root of the problem?
Well, the lack of accountability is rampant. It's everywhere. I've talked to so many boards of directors, surprised at how many don't even have a clue that they're the ones who are responsible for information security, other than the fact that things that maybe they've read or heard from NACD, right, the National Association of Corporate Directors. They may have heard something like, hey, security's a thing, you should pay attention to it. Yeah. And NACD actually wrote a really nice document. It's like 10 things that you need to make sure. And I've seen great boards. There's one board that comes to mind. I can't use their name because I'm still working under attorney-client privilege with them, but man, they are good. They ask regularly get their updates. They take responsibility. They're accountable for information security within this organization. They have an audit committee that actually holds executive management accountable to get this shit done. They have a measurement in place. They know where they're at. They know where they're going. They know when they're going to get there, and they know how much it's going to cost. It's accountability. And then you have other organizations where the board of directors rarely, if ever, hears anything about information security. If they do, they don't challenge that information. They just take it Oh, you need a budget for this? Okay, whatever. Just get this shit off the docket so I don't have to talk anymore and I can get back to talk about world domination or whatever the hell, we're talking about. So it's all over the place. There's no standard way. And then you take small companies, right? Owners, CEOs, our own company, right? We're 80 employees. I'm the CEO of this company. I'm ultimately responsible for every single thing that happens in this company, period. Everything. And I was talking to our president, and he's like, what about toilet paper in the bathroom? Yes, ultimately, that's my responsibility as well. I have other people who do that for us. But at the end of the day, if there's no toilet paper in the bathroom and somebody comes to my office and tells me about it, well, fuck. That's me.
Yep.
And I will go to people and hold somebody else accountable for not making sure that stuff happened. But the shit always rolls uphill. That's the bullshit about leaders. Is shitty leaders say the shit rolls downhill, right? Bullshit. You're a shitty leader. Shit rolls uphill. It's supposed to.
Do we think too many people have forgotten that?
Chris, it goes back to a comment I made to you. You had asked me a question, and my response was, it is a lack of service. There's a lack of service. Nobody has a service attitude anymore. You're providing a service. That's you know what I mean? And
yeah, the other word you used, which actually rings true here, is the the servant leadership.
Yeah.
That also rings very, very true in here. Very, very true.
Where is it? Where, it's lacking from so many areas in our society. The drive-through these days, it's always been shit, but man, it's out of pocket now. You know what I mean? There's just this lack of service. It's everybody feels like a job, or it seems to me at least that a lot of people feel like jobs are obligations.
Well,
job out of obligation, and so pass the buck, not my problem. I don't care. Wasn't me. Have you guys felt that? Is it just me? I don't feel that now so much with the people I work with, but before.
There's definitely elements of it. Again, I think it depends where you go and who you listen to and what you're dealing with. I think more than that, it's not me as passing the buck. There's always an excuse. To me, I look at it as there's always an excuse. Perfect example. Let's take our industry. Well, we gave them the software. It's up to them to install it properly. Or, well, we installed it and now what they do is up to them. Or they didn't give us all the information. Or they don't have enough resources. Or. There's always an excuse. There's always something. It's somebody else's problem. There's always something that somebody else could have done, should have done, must have done, because it's not my fault. That I see way too often.
I see a lot of shitty leadership as well, where, I don't know, Chris, you've given lots of board presentations, and Ryan, you have too. How often have you heard, well, how do we care with everybody else? It's like, yeah. That's herd. Okay, I get why you're asking the question. That's herd mentality. And the reason you want to know is because as long as you're in the herd, you're not going to be negligent and, great. But if you use that to drive your security program, what the hell kind of leader doesn't lead?
Way too many times, unfortunately, to your point. It's almost on the buzzword bingo card for me half the time, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I do it. I always prepare that in my board presentation now. You, everybody else, just so you know.
For me, it brings up management versus leadership. I have met lots of managers and very, very few leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I go to a lot of managers managing and not leading. And managers a lot of times don't take accountability. They go, well, I got people above me and people are below me and I'm just managing the situation. Right? I'm the middleman. It's not me. Couldn't be me. Must be them. And they're like, we hired you to lead these people. But they give them a title of manager, or you know what I mean? It's a manager's mindset. You guys have met these people. There's leaders and there's managers, and they are not the same breed.
All right.
Well,
So,
and I think some. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
no, I was going to go there, but I'm also going to take a step back and go back to. I'll get on me honest. Go back to our industry. I want to take it back. We killed somebody.
What?
Not the first. We overall, we failed. The industry failed to adequately put enough protections in place. And yes, maybe the hospital should have done something. Maybe university should have done something. No two ways about it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the attacker was there because they saw an opportunity in a system or systems that should have, would have, might have, could have been sorted out. So ultimately, somebody paid the ultimate price for this one.
And it'll happen again.
Oh, I mean,
And
it's
more.
happening again. We already had. There's another one. There's another one that's happening at the moment. There's an ongoing attack that's on the moment that hit the news. They've been down for a week. Patients can't get anything. Healthcare facilities shut down. It's a shit show over there. If people haven't died, I'm gonna be fucking surprised.
Right?
Well, and here's the
think
deal.
about autonomous cars, and I mean,
Well,
it's just
wait,
getting
you're
started.
talking about accountability. Hold on. Uber, self-driving car,
Yeah.
killed a lady. Okay, and they blamed the driver. They want to hold the driver accountable. Now, granted, the driver probably, shouldn't have been looking down at his phone at the moment the accident occurred, right? But again, the self-driving car that's supposedly safe enough to be on the road, and Uber's response to this was not to take any responsibility. No, let's charge the driver and shut down testing in that market. That was their response.
Just in that market. Same Tesla. I mean, Tesla in the same way. I mean, again, same thing. I have not seen Elon Musk stand up and go, hey, our software fucked up and our cars have killed people.
Not only that, have you heard about the astronomers that are all pissed at him?
Oh, yeah, because of the
SpaceX satellites.
Oh, no shit. Yeah. And apparently they're putting a new coating on them, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it's, again, accountability.
Right.
Well, okay, so in our industry, because part of me wants to be like, shake people. Like, I've seen some executive management, but then the bulk of these people, the bulk of the information security industry, and the bulk of executive management, they're good people. They want to do the right thing. So I wonder how often they just don't know. We just haven't explained, haven't told, because I like to take accountability for myself. I know, I've been CISO for a lot of companies, either CISO or VCISO. And I always sort of felt that if executive management was making shitty risk decisions, I must not be communicating well enough. I must not be resonating with them somehow.
Okay.
Because they want to make good decisions. I'm not giving them good information to make decisions.
All right, so let's take that another step further. Let's go back to our weaponry thing again. So, if I hand you this, I'm going to hand it to you very carefully. I'm going to hand it to you based on what we know and what we understand the risk of this to be. I'm also going to hand it to you because industry has beaten me up, society has beaten me up, and all sorts of other things. I'm also going to hand it to you because, let's face it, it's got an entire bloody magazine in the damn thing. So, and yes, there is one in the damn chamber. So if I look at it that way, I'm going to hand this to you very, very, very carefully and with respect. I'm also going to hand it to you open, etc., etc., etc. So we have that, yes? But by the same account, going back to what we talked about the other week,
So
hand you this, I'm just going to be like, hey, have at it and enjoy yourself.
okay, but now here's the interesting thing. So I'm gonna run with this.
Okay.
So when I buy a gun,
Yep.
it comes with warning signs. It comes with labels and warnings and big death symbol. There's a guy, he's dead.
Yep.
Here, shot in the face. Like it's very clear that I am handling something that is potentially incredibly dangerous and risky. It's got the little triangle, the exclamation point, the universal.
Oh yeah, and you background checks and all this shit, and you read the riot act.
Okay. Now, when I buy my smart oven, It does not come with a warning sign that says, if I connect to internet, may randomly start on max or above in the middle of the night and burn my house to the ground.
Yep.
And that therein lies another layer of accountability. I believe the manufacturers need to be transparent about the risk posed to connecting any device to the internet. And if I so choose to make that decision, well, that's on me. But at least I was informed. Anything with a USB connection should come with one of those warning stickers.
Look at any of this shit.
This is my point.
Yeah.
Warning may be addictive, may be maybe used for psychological warfare, maybe used for
It will be used against, maybe used against you. Yeah,
well,
it's addictive.
yeah, in a court of law. Here, you're waiving your fourth, your fifth, your first.
Yeah, fuck your amendments. You don't have any.
You're waiving all the amendments.
You don't have any rights when you use this. You waive every single right.
So should it just be a triangle with an exclamation point that says "Bitch, we own you"?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
But you guys are on the point of accountability. It's ignorance. They don't know.
That's why I bring it up, because I believe that it's on us. So let's go back to accountability, back to our industry. Each one of the people listening to this has an obligation, and everyone that they work with in their departments and their teams has an obligation. Whether you were told this or not when you signed up for this line of work, it comes with some obligatory responsibilities. It's akin to being law enforcement or military or medical, right? There are creeds, there are oaths, there are common agreed upon ethics, right, about how we operate. It's no different. And yet we seem to lack the same responsibility and accountability that the legal industry has, that the medical industry has, that the other regulated industries. If I'm the gas man and I say the gas line's good and your house blows up, that's my ass.
It's back to the weaponry, same thing. We've had, how many years have we had legislation, rightly or wrongly so, we're not even going to get into that debate, but how many years have we had legislation and have had it, smoking, another example, sorry, I'm going to pick on two vices. How many years have we had it beaten into people that guns kill, smoke kills? If you pick up a packet of cigarettes, half the packet these days is telling you you're gonna die. Rightly or wrongly so. Let's talk about human biology, let's talk about all the other shit that goes with it. Irrespective of that, half that packet of cigarettes is going to tell you you're going to die if you open these. To your point, you pick up a gun, there's more fucking warning signs on it. If I had to use that thing in an emergency, I'm screwed. I've got to unpeel all the shit and undo all the stuff. Pick up a fucking knife and be done with it. But you pick up a piece of electronics, no expectations of privacy. It is addictive. It is this. It's likely to set your house on fire. We are spying on you. You will lose all of your fucking data. We own all of your bank accounts. Enjoy yourself.
Right.
And I'm just saying, add to mine, please.
That's true.
Try to GoFundMe for the RV.
I told you Saturday night I've got you covered. Forgot about that one on Sunday. I was going to sort it out. Saturday, Sunday, whatever the hell day it was. Saturday night, whatever.
Down to the gravy, baby. Don't even worry about it. We gonna persevere. It's what we do. But I think there is a moral. So this is where I'm going to bring this to this. There is a moral accountability. And I know morals are this thing that we think are old timey, like churning your own butter. But it's not.
I'm doing what to my own mother?
Churning your own butter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you better watch what you say about his mother.
Yeah, I'm turning my mother. It's like my mother on a spit.
Where I come from.
Roasting my mother over a spit.
Mama's off limits. No, churning the butter.
Churning the butter. Got it. All right.
That doesn't look good either, Ryan.
Yeah, well, you know, shit happens. After the week I had, Evan, I could give two rats ass less. Oh, by the way, gentlemen, I can travel anywhere with my wife as long as it's only 6 hours in the RV. Anything past that is a flight.
These are the new.
Well, because remember, it was I'm going to sell this thing or burn this thing or right.
Totally, yeah.
That evolved over time.
Okay, good. That's good.
As more parts fell off, and you know.
I'm pretty sure we can social engineer her out of that.
No, it's all good. I did. Come next summer, the RV will basically be completely brand new, with the exception of the interior. I'm going to redo the diffs and all the wheel hubs and all the mechanical. And then it'll be rated for 6 hours in-state travel.
I was going to say, you're in state only, if I remember rightly. We can actually geofence it. You know what? We need to talk to your young lady, and we'll just offer the geofence for the RV. So basically, EMFs it, EMPs it if it tries to get out of the geo.
Well, I am going to put. So thanks to Tony of the Daily Insanity giving a suggestion that I put electronic fuel injection on it. That'll take care of my altitude problems.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
You know, at some point, it is easier just to pick up a new RV.
It's true. Sorry, I had to diverge. I was starting to get a little pissy about how the shit works, man. About the lack of accountability by people that should be accountable. And to your point, Chris, somebody did die. Many people have died. This is the first one to get news attention.
Right.
Now, some nut job, just so y'all know, some whack job out there saw that and went, "Ooh, I can kill people with ransomware. I'm gonna do that."
Right. Yep.
And that.
Well, I think they claimed it was a mistake because as soon as they learned that they hit the clinic, they gave they gave the key.
Right, but they did. How many of WannaCry didn't?
Right.
Let's face it, we got them to slow down for what? How many weeks? And then all hell broke loose. Actually, no, it was fucking COVID. We got everybody. I mean, a bunch of us went out into the darker side of the world, had lots of conversations with typical people, and said, "Hey, slow the fuck down. We're gonna get this shit under control." And some did, and a whole lot didn't. And now it's open season. So, you know, yes, there maybe is the occasional temporary honor among thieves, but we sure as hell shouldn't build that into the business plan or the.
Oh no! I'm not saying that at all.
No, I know.
I'm not saying that at all. It was but it wasn't. Intent always has to be taken.
What you're trying to
intent always has to be.
Say what?
What?
What
am I trying to say?
That it's not intentional. That it was an accident that they hit a clinic. They didn't mean to target the clinic, right? Am I picking up what you're laying down?
You smell what I'm stepping in.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
I gotta buy it.
All right.
It's been a while, man. I only see you.
I feel you, dog. Man, I'm with you. So the accountability, we hit on the fact that people don't know. They're ignorant. Right? Ignorance people take offense when you call them ignorant. I don't know why. It just means you don't know something.
It's not knowing the law.
Right, but I've learned a lot of things over time, and you guys have too. You know, it comes with you get wisdom with shit, usually painful shit. Incident response. It became crystal clear in incident response number 20, whatever. It's like, fuck. Why do people keep assuming shit all the time? Well, the reason is people will always gaps always get filled. And what I mean by that is where you have in your communication, it will always get filled.
Right.
It'll get filled with something. Usually it's assumptions. And usually the assumptions are wrong. So when you look at, the way information security works in a company, the way information security works at home, the way information security works everywhere, if you just assume shit, it's probably going to be wrong. So you have to be clearer in your communication. I'd sent out an email this week. I sent Ryan, you got one, Chris, you one, and I sent it to
Yeah.
a buddy of mine who's the CISO for Medtronic, and I sent it, a bunch of people, and I asked them to give me in a sentence or two their definition of cybersecurity. Right? Simple.
Yep.
And the results were all awesome, by the way, but they weren't all the same. They weren't even close. You know what I mean? It was like, wow.
Ooh,
all right.
Yeah.
So we're just assuming shit. I mean, I think we don't talk well about certain things. I give a lot of presentations and I talk about the basics, and then and then afterwards, you'll talk to afterwards and they're like, yeah, that was a good talk, but it was really basic. And I was like, well, are you doing any of this shit?
Yeah.
He's like, well, sorta. Well, that's why I'm fucking preaching it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I love that it's, don't give me the basics. Yeah. But do you do them?
You're in the industry. You get paid to do them.
You
get a paycheck to do them.
AI, and I have a log retention of 2 weeks.
You don't even know what the fuck AI means usually, right?
But I need it. I need double AI.
Yeah. And I love my favorite. And my favorite question back always, and it was the same that I did with this CISO buddy of mine that called me last week, right? Looking for some advice. Why? I need some AI. Why do you need AI?
Yeah.
Well, because that and another thing. Okay, great. Let's talk about things that should be in place before you get that thing. Do you have any of that other shit done? No. Dude, you understand that security works. Something that's insecure at the core will always be insecure. Period. I mean, fuck, man. And I'm preaching to a guy who's got 20 years information security experience. It's like, brother, what are you doing?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, but how much of that experience was actually trying to secure things, and how much of that experience was doing security theater?
Well, at least he's heard the things. I mean, shit, you went to a conference or something, I would assume, and somebody tell you something about fucking asset management.
Locks and applying locks, aka controls, and then there's security theater. I've done the thing. It's the thing. I applied encryption. Yeah, where do you store your keys? Well, on Jerry's desktop. We got the master key over on Jerry's desktop.
Or worse yet, I store it on the backups.
There you go. Yep, make them easy to get to.
It's like, fuck. Right. Yeah, your encryption key for the backups is stored on the backups.
Right.
Fuck. The shit. You're gonna get it. Okay.
But that's my point, right? But hey, I'm doing it. So there's doing it and doing it well. Like, so for example, if you want to dig a well, it's a type of digging a hole in the ground. And there's things you have to do it the correct way and to get it to be a well so that it's useful and it provides water. You can dig a lot of holes in the ground and never make a well.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're doing. I think we're just digging holes going, look, there's a hole. There's some water that collected at the bottom, but it's not a well. And to your point, Evan, because there are 500 different understandings of what this black voodoo magic, which some people would argue is nothing more than a glorified extension of network operations. I've run into that. It's just network operations, that's all it is. Right? And we know it's more than that. We know it's development, it's working DevOps into your process in a functional manner, secure by design. Right? Secure by design will always keep you safe.
Yeah.
Like an absolute out of control catastrophe happens. If you take a secure by design approach, you're generally pretty good.
Well, that's it, right? The perfection has never been the goal. Risk elimination has never been the goal. Bad shit will still happen, period. It will always happen. It's management of the bad shit when it does happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, and I think there's three things that seem to kind of emerge in terms of like accountabilities. One is, you mentioned Chris in tech, right? Making shitty software, making software that purposely does take advantage. Did you watch? Have you seen the Social Dilemma yet?
I started to watch it. I haven't. It's been a started though, and I'm like, yeah, because Ryan, I think you mentioned it when we were out. He's gone for a sec. I think Ryan was the one that also
Yeah.
mentioned it when he was out here. We pulled it up on one screen or another. I did it then. I also pulled it up, and it's on the watch list now for one of the systems I have. And I'm like, went through the trailer, and I'm like, holy shit! Again, it's
Yeah.
stuff we knew. It's all the stuff we knew, not even supposed. It's pretty much all this face, all the stuff. And to actually have the very people that coded it, architected it, built it, designed it, used it, actually come out and say, yeah, yeah, that shit, yeah, we didn't just design it for that. It was designed basically as a weapon. I mean, its weapons grade. Okay,
Right.
if it wasn't weapons grade, the agencies wouldn't be using it instead of building their own shit. That's the way to look
Yeah,
at it.
man. Well, and it's crazy, and that's why I'm excited for you to watch it because you're somebody that I love the way you think, and I love to hear your take on it after you get a chance to watch it. But it was interesting how there are so many things that kind of came out of it that resonated with me that just reinforced shit that I knew. One was there's only two industries where we call customers users: the drug industry and IT or
Yep.
software.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
And then it's interesting too how in social media, a lot of these developers started off creating the software, creating the system with the customer being the consumer, right? That was the customer, like the guy who invented the like button. He invented the like button because he wanted to spread love, positivity.
Yeah.
And then now you see what the like button has become. Now it's all tracked and everything and monetized. And oh my God, it's like, so this thing, then it transformed into now the customer is the advertisers or whoever's using the platform in the back end, and the product is actually the consumer. That's what they're selling. They're selling you and me.
That was, I mean, so we had this one. I mean, a number of you saw the LinkedIn post I chucked out earlier on today when it was talking about, Ring was talking about the new device and how the new device, that new fucking flying stupid, crazy bloody thing. And actually, somebody put it on there, which is somebody put the same thing. Somebody put a comment on there, which is, they're not going to care about you because you are the product. End of discussion. The shit they're selling you is because you are the product. What they're doing is pandering to your desires, needs, wants, and what they're directing you to. End of discussion. The more
Right.
intel, the more
Well,
information they have, the better they're going to tune it for what they want to do and how they want to tune it.
and
Well,
there's so much psychology behind it that you're being manipulated without you even knowing it.
Right. And that's the part that,
that's scary.
I'm used to that with military. I mean, we're all used to that with the military folks. I mean, no two words about it. But I'm sorry, when the civilian shit starts
Brainwash
to
camp.
get, hmm?
Brainwash camp. Here, watch this PowerPoint.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're used to it. It's like it is what it is. When it comes from the civilian side, there's a WTF that goes with it.
So here's the deal. I watched that, and what I saw, they did the little avatar thing or whatever, but all I could see was a pig farm where
Hmm.
we are livestock being harvested. Right. It was like a blend between pig farm and the Matrix. You're being harvested for your attention. And I was like, whoa.
Well, and it just reinforced the shit that we do. To your point, Chris, it's like there were certain gaps that I was like, yeah, I don't know. Am I thinking conspiracy theory a little too much here? And then you watch, Social Dilemma, and you're like, holy fuck, you just filled in the gaps. Like I said before, where there are gaps, they always get filled. So I'd filled it with my own shit,
Yeah.
and then I'm like my shit and put their shit in there and be like, oh, okay, now I see the picture. It makes sense now.
Oh yeah, big time.
So it's so to accountability then.
The guy that made the like button or Zuckerberg?
Yeah. Well, and so the accountability, there's the Center for Humane Technology. That's kind of the people behind the social dilemma.
Yep.
And I'm like, I want to hang with those guys,
Yep.
because if we can get enough of us in this kind of movement who want to use technology in a humane and ethical way and start defining the rules of accountability, because the only way you're going to expect the social media to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, to expect them to self-regulate, you're
It's
fucking
gonna
high.
happen. Yeah.
Well, and I'll
There's
go
so
one
much
further.
money involved in the richest company in the world.
I'll
Right.
You're
go
going to
one
have to have
further.
legislation.
We don't allow airlines to self-regulate. Why would we allow
Right.
social media to self-regulate? We don't allow gas and oil companies to self-regulate.
Well, the only self-regulation that I know of that is still tolerated and somewhat semi-discretional is payment card, PCI.
Oh, sure.
That's all self-regulation.
Well, yeah, that's
So it's happened in tech before. Let's let it
yeah.
happen here. And the reason why it's permitted to happen in tech is because just about everybody on Capitol Hill doesn't know two shits about what actually happens.
Right.
What are you going to write? What's going to be in that law that you want to write?
Well, and that's what I'm saying is there's a misunderstanding, I think. It's the black magic of it. Oh, cybersecurity. Yep, okay. What is that? Well, it's where we secure cyber things. Oh, well, that sounds good. We should do that. Well, it costs a lot of money. Ooh. Well, what could go wrong? At least now we have a news story to point to and go, somebody could die and nobody can tell us oil on anymore.
Right.
Well, but accountability is a two-way street too, right? How many practitioners do we have in our industry that wouldn't know, one iota about where's the best place to spend my dollars, right? So let's say executive management, let's say your CEO says, yes, open pocketbook, right? You spend wherever you want to spend. There's an accountability that goes the other way that you're misspending the dollars. Why the hell am I out buying, DLP or AI when I don't have an asset inventory? I don't know what the fuck I'm working with.
Right.
So here's the deal. Here's my theory. Let's go back in the time machine for a second. So information security spawned from network. That's where it came from. That's where it started. That's
IT in general. Yeah.
Yes, but network was the first to get acknowledged. AppSec didn't really mature till a little bit after NetSec had a, you know what I mean? So you got network security, and then you get, app security kind of starts to come in vogue, and then identity and access management, and we start to morph, and because hey, we got this weird network traffic. What's going on? Well, we don't know. It's coming from this machine. Well, why is that happening? Oh, because this app's letting it happen. Hey, app team, you need to make that stop, secure that, fix that. So as we grow and evolve into it, it starts to grow legs. And I think part of that's why there's no accountability. It goes back to the old over the fence crap between dev and ops. It goes back to the old, whose fault is it? It's why DevOps exists. And then we had to morph that to DevSecOps because there was still a wall. Well, dev's on board, ops is on board, security says no.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that's it's getting, actually it's getting better in certain segments, in certain areas. It's getting better. I draw some comfort that Mark Miller and the folks over at Sonatype and everybody who are putting the all day DevOps on the 24-hour conference. Quick plug for them: 24 hours, 150 speakers, completely fucking free. Don't tell me you can't get training. 124 hours, free stream, the whole lot. And it's on soon. All day DevOps, DevSecOps, the whole lot. Some amazing people speaking. All right, I'm done.
I love it. Good plug.
Thank you.
Damn.
Mic drop. Bam.
That's right. Hey,
Love it.
Good stuff. Free stuff is always welcome to be plugged on the shit show from my perspective.
Well, even if it's paid stuff, I mean, as long as it's good stuff, right? I mean, the shit's got to work. The shit's got to do something. It's got to
Somebody
serve a
gets
need.
somewhere. Yeah.
It's got to be equal. It's got to be humane. It's got to be for the greater good. I mean, I'm tired of fucking people taking advantage of other people. I'm
I'm with
fucking
you.
tired of it, man. I mean, if there's anything that's going to get on my skin, anything that's going to piss me off, if there's anything that's going to get me to grab a gun, it's somebody taking advantage of somebody else. And I'll give a fuck where it is. It just pisses me off. And it happens
Well,
all the time in our industry. All
I
the
think-
damn time.
I can think of one other thing. If somebody has a Chorky in a bad neighborhood,
What? Oh, that? No, that's a whole different thing, dude. I don't know what you're talking about now.
You guys see my screen?
You're crazy. Yeah,
yes, yes,
I like it.
right.
Can you give me the copy of that?
Yeah, totally. You kidding? Of course.
Thank you.
I'm going to put that on every piece of it. I'm going to make a sticker out of that.
That
Yeah,
being-
we'll probably do the same thing. I'll get to Pete. I just literally did it while we're talking now in good old PowerPoint.
I
Yeah, you're a
love it.
PowerPoint wizard because of all the talks you give.
Shit,
How many
I-
hours a week do you?
Seriously.
How many hours a week do you spend in PowerPoint?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Enough to be proficient. Let's put it that way. More
does,
than I want.
does PowerPoint have a VBA engine or anything that you can mess with, like you can with
yeah.
Excel or anything?
You can do some interesting stuff. I got to be honest. Most of the time, I don't do that. I keep my stuff fairly simple, because that message is then. If you do too many whizzy shit, the message gets lost. To me, it's very much a case of like, see if we can actually keep it. It's a keep it simple, stupid thing.
Well, and I will say, any machine I've ever run VBA on has never run the same after.
Right.
Oh no, yeah, you got
Just saying,
to do that in a VM.
start loading libraries, and all of a sudden it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that in a VM. You got to keep that isolated.
I'll send it to you guys. I'll send it to you guys an email.
All right. So in tech, so I think one of the things that, I'm an optimist too. I mean, I think the humane, technology group, I think that's going to gain some legs. I think that's cool to see that the social dilemma is kind of getting viral because it's so important for people to understand this shit, right? Everybody, and even because I had a couple of talks, I had a talk with our CFO, and she's like, I never use social media, so why would I watch it? And I said, because you don't live in a damn bubble. When you go to the store, when you're dealing with other people, they're using social media. And so you need to understand how they're being manipulated because you have to interact with them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I used a real world thing that for me in the last few weeks, right? I went to Sturgis, right? I went to Sturgis. I came back from Sturgis. I self-quarantined for 2 weeks. I thought it was a responsible thing, right? And then you see, well, how many people, they said it was going to be a super spreader event and all this other stuff. Well, allegedly, I don't know. You read one side and it's 300-ish people have confirmed cases, one death, right? And so that's one side. The other side, there's a study out from I had never heard of before, 260,000. It's
Yep.
like, whoa, what the hell? Now, if you understand the way social media works, I see my information stream, you see your information stream, I never see yours. You never
Right.
see mine. So if I'm out on the, and I tell you, hey, I went to Sturgis, and you saw, and you got that news feed, right? The 260,000. You selfish son of a bitch. You're putting all of us more at risk. You're whatever. And I'm like, what the hell are you freaking out about? I'm responsible. I came home. I did, 2 weeks of self quarantine, and you want to shoot me because you saw what you saw. You never saw what I saw. I saw what I saw. Never saw what you saw.
And we're going to get way, way, way more of that as we get closer and closer to November.
God, I am.
Actually, let's actually take it all the way through to what, January the 20th. So we're going to have way more of that between now and the 20th.
Right? And it's crazy because I don't blame the person. I blame the technology. I blame the use of the technology for causing the division, there shouldn't be two versions of reality. There shouldn't be two versions of truth. There's one
Right.
truth. What is it? I don't know. Because how many other news feeds are there? How many more strings, how many branches are there in the logic? I have no idea. You know, it makes it hard to operate. So even if you don't use social media, it's still good to know how this shit is working, because everybody you're talking to probably.
Yeah.
Well, and that's not only that, but you know, they can affect things to a degree that people do not yet understand how deep the manipulation goes, how it bypasses. This is back to my analog human digital world. You don't have a converter. You don't have a filter. You're able to be hijacked. There is no alarm that goes off like there is for every other physical risk in your life. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, this is happening to you, and it should be triggering all kinds of like warnings, alarms, and it's not. And it's changing the way people behave and think. It's changing.
Well, and how often do you think? And how often do you think people choose it because they feel overwhelmed? They don't even know where to start. Because that's another thing I hear often is like, "Shit, what the hell am I going to do about it?"
I think regularly. I think it's because it is too overwhelming. I mean, again, you know,
It
we're
is.
having these conversations, and you know, or how often. I mean, I know when I take a step back from these conversations, there's one part of me which is just like, I don't know where the hell to start with this. There's the other part of me which is, you start small, you grassroots it, you do something simple, and things change over time. You are the voice, you are the conversation. I mean,
Right.
that LinkedIn I put out today, earlier today, I mean, it's sitting at a decent chunk of people hitting it, and it's because of the conversations the three of us have had about accountability. It's because of that. It's because I looked at the news and I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Who the hell's accountable for this? Who's gonna look after, monitor all the data points, let alone everything else that goes with it? I'm like, there was that WTF moment. I'm like, I'm gonna put a post out and I'll tag it with accountability and other things. So I think it is overwhelming, which is also maybe where we almost need a guide. You almost need that guide, like, hey, here's the first couple of steps. We'll help you take the first couple of steps. The pair of you did it. You went out and talked to people. That's a step.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Just
You went out and talked to
tell
people.
me what to do. Tell me what to do. It's
Right.
time that we step up and tell people what to do. It's think about every other type of physical security. So if we were security guards, what's our job? Tell people what to do, right?
Yeah.
Peace, maintain order. And how do we do that? By instructing people that are violating the peace and order to do it differently.
Right.
I don't know why this is so hard for us. Nobody seems to want to be brave enough. I made a document. I made it. And whether you agree with it or disagree with it, and I've sent it to both of you, and neither of you have complained, so I think it might be okay. But
When did you send it?
it's the minimum standards. It's just here's
When did you send it?
I don't know, months ago at this point. It's on our website. You can go get to it yourself.
No, are you talking about? Dude, stop with the smart ass shit. Listen
I
to me.
can't help it. I'm punchy. I've had a fuck of a week.
Well, take your fuck of the week and take it out on somebody else.
I can't. I love you. We take it out on those as well.
Fuck that. No, that's kind of a wrong.
It's wrong, but it's true.
I thought you were talking about. Yeah, fuck. I thought you were talking about the 5 rules.
Yeah, that's
No, I haven't published that yet. I have worked on it.
Right. See, Chris thought you were talking about that shit too, so you weren't clear in your own fucking communication. You weren't clear in your own communication. Own it. Accountability.
Yes, that is my fault. I own that.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Should have sent you back with a bottle of whiskey.
Hey, I am accountable to my own fuckery, and I own it, and I'm sorry.
No, whatever. I still love you, fucking idiot.
Yep.
I'm always gonna love you.
Evan, you sound a lot like my wife.
I know. See, she loves you too. She's put up with you for 20 years. I've only put up with you for like what, 3, 4? All right. So accountability. Check. Okay. Ah, I think some of the things that you can do, right? If it is overwhelming, you talk about, right? You have to start with your area of influence. What's my area of influence? If you're home, you have kids, you have a wife, you know, significant other, whatever, start there. Start with your coworkers, have conversations. You know what I mean? Talk about these things. Look at, watch like social, the social dilemma. Get involved with the humane tech. Donate. If you want to talk about accountability in state and local government, call your mayor.
Mhm.
They work for you. Ask them, what are you doing for information security here in the city of Waconia where I live? And you don't have to be a jerk about it.
Right.
Ask nicely.
Ask nicely. And actually, that was the interesting thing. We had the conversation, the hospital one, the healthcare one. And it's the same thing. Ryan said something about it the other week. I put the healthcare conversation out, and a couple of folks from healthcare said, hey, we're overwhelmed. We just don't know where to face. And the next question out of a bunch of us mouths was, how do we help? Not how can we charge you? What can we do? How do we help? We'll freaking donate time, go down there and go, hey, we're pitching in. What can we do to help?
Yes. Yep.
I'm getting on the phone with a vendor because the vendor doesn't know how to solve the problem the right way. They want to solve the problem. They don't know how to solve it the right way to where it is best for both parties. So I'm playing man in the middle to say, this is how you're going to solve this. This is how we'll do this going forward. It's best for you. It's best for the client. You just have to care enough to get involved, right?
Yeah.
Now, am I billing them for this? Sure, it comes out in the wash, whatever. You know what I mean? Is it going to be a line item on an invoice? No,
Yeah.
that's not what this needs to be. This is part of whatever consulting buckets. You know what I mean? Like whatever. It's a quick call. It's a 15-minute call with a vendor to go, hey, I appreciate you don't know X. Let me tell it to you. It works like this. Do it this way, and everybody's kosher.
I was on a webinar Monday, I think it was, earlier this week, with Steve King over at Cyber Theory and the folks over there. And it was
I like Steve. Yeah. He would.
Yeah.
Remember, we were
amazing.
talking about him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so I ended up on a webinar about marketing in cybersecurity. It was a panel on marketing in cybersecurity. Fantastic panel, really good conversation. After it, I got talking to both the CMOs, chief marketing officers that were on the panel, and they were like, hey, one of them, lady, female, the guy definitely, I think, took exception to me. Female was like, hey, you made sense, understood what you said, took it on board. I know we're doing some of it. I want to learn more. We're talking week after next. And that to me is just like, I'm going to take a couple of hours and we're going to sit, we're going to have a conversation. Because if I can change a vendor, one vendor at a time, to actually think more like, how do I approach CISOs as CISOs rather than pieces of meat to sell shit to, the more we can do that, the more we can work on people, the more we can back to the accountability, all this other stuff. You change it by just doing this more often than not. And eventually, more and more of the message changes and the arseholes start to stick out a hell of a lot more.
Yep. I agree, and I love it. That's something that I've practiced for years. I will give any company about 30 minutes of time. I will tell you how to do what you do better, right? Because I want you to be better, because I want better. And so I'm willing to put in that time. And I've done it, and I know Evan's done it. There's
Yeah.
And that goes to the servant part. You're a servant. I'm a servant. He's a servant. Evan's a servant. We're all servants. And that shows in the way that
servant or serpent?
No, not serpent. Servant.
Ooh, okay, good.
It depends what day it is. It depends what day it is.
Well, if it's one of them days, I'm a donkey.
There we go.
Hee-haw, hee-haw.
Oh, yeah. Hey, separate topic for a second. Joe on the channel said suggestions for show topics as we near the election day: mis and disinformation debriefing. I actually really
Yeah.
fucking like that. So here's what I like about that is all three of us can go do some homework. Evan, you said it perfectly right. I know in my newsfeed, as far as my newsfeed goes, you bunch of irresponsible buggers basically killed 260,000 people or infected 260,000 people. But I'm also sensible enough to go look at the other newsfeed and go, that's off by a factor of lots.
1,000. Yeah.
Oh my Gideon. I mean, some stupid fucking amount. So I think all three of us, and maybe because we all have access to the spreadsheet, I think all three of us maybe need to start carving out some time in like mid-October, which
Do
isn't
some
that far
homework,
away.
see what ads, what text messages you get from what political parties.
Yeah, and I think also start taking the dis and misinformation to pieces and go, hey, look, this is what I found. And we almost run it as a, hey, this is what I found. This is what I did on it. This is what I see on the plus side. And I want it to be as agnostic as we humanly possibly can make it. Because I want to make sure that we balance. It's not going to be easy, but I want to make sure that we try to balance it as much as we can for everybody that's listening in and watching. And will listen to it. But I honestly would say that maybe for the last 3 weeks leading up, again, this is shit that we can do. For the last 3 weeks leading up to the election, we run a mis and disinformation debrief as the shit show. What do you guys think? And that's honestly coming from Joe.
Yeah.
Well, hats off to Joe. I'm into it. Here's
Okay.
my suggestion to add to that.
Yeah.
I want you guys to connect to at least 3 different VPN endpoints.
I run my own VPN systems.
Country. I want you
Ooh.
endpoints and do the same search criteria, but with 3 different geographic exits.
All right. So we have to agree upon what the search criteria is, even down potentially to specific
Well, no,
quotes. You know what I mean? Like search for this, search for this, because I'd love to see what you come up with. But
Right.
we have a side-by-side comparison.
Whatever your search criteria is to find political information, each one of us will be unique in that. Be consistent across your exit points.
Yeah.
Same search terms, 3 or more, your choice, different countries, and see how different your results are. And bring that back to the table. So not only this is what I saw as me in North America, this is what I saw as me in Romania.
Actually, no. Okay, so hang on. Take it slightly differently. Yeah, I mean, here's what I see in North America, and for me, it's just like pick a couple of the stories. To me, it's just pick a couple of stories.
Crack open Google News. What's your top story right now? All 3 of us do it.
I don't use Google News. I use the BBC. Where is Google News?
You got to do Google News so it's consistent.
Hang on, what is Google News? Is it just news.google or something? I don't even use it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't either. Hold on.
Google news.google.
What's your top headline?
Top U.S. Republican pledges peaceful transition as Trump sows election doubts. Trump booed as he pays respects. Trump is running against all elections in our democracy. An October surprise is coming. Trump is making sure of that. Trump wants you to think you can't get rid of him.
Okay, Evan, go. What's your top result?
I have the same.
Here's mine. Trump escalating attacks on election prompts fears of constitutional crisis. Trump
Oh yeah, I have that one too.
I don't have that one.
You didn't have that one, Chris?
No, I haven't got that
Okay,
one.
I got that one.
It was good for politics. Trump wants you to think he can't get rid of him, and October surprise is coming. Trump makes sure of that.
Yeah, I don't have
Yeah,
that.
I got the same as. All right, yeah, screw it. I have the same as you, Ryan. Sorry, I do have that. Trump escalating attacks on election prompt
That's your top
fears of a constitutional crisis. That's the top one. Yeah.
top headline. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have that. It's yeah.
Hold on. Is your exit node New York? Have you selected United States as your choice?
I'm my proxy at the moment. My proxy is actually running out of here, so I'm only running local stuff here at the moment.
I am out of Chicago.
Donuts, it says Evan picked America, and
I'm out of Chicago.
Are you out of Chicago?
I'm out of Chicago.
I believe I am out of New York.
come out of Chicago because I don't like Chicago, and they can blame all this shit on Chicago.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
All the shit that comes out of me.
I'm going to run up Firefox, and I'm going to run it out of.
Now I'm doing it out of Sweden. Let's see what happens.
All right, I'll do Vietnam. Actually, let me do it on this too. I'm going to try a whole different device too.
UK corona cases surged by highest single day figure since outbreak began. That is now my headline news, and I'm out of Sweden.
All right, hold on. I gotta get this shit going. All right. What do I got? Kick up my VPN. Hold on. So much work.
Right. I'm running out of Russia. Russia freezes Navalnyi's assets. Facebook and Twitter remove Russian-linked accounts. U.S. scrambles to do nuclear deal with Russia before election, issuing ultimatum. I didn't know anything about that. It's a new one.
I'm coming out of Ireland. HSE urges people to reduce contacts with the average for positive case now at 6.
Oh, this is a good one out of Russia. Trump says he likes Putin. U.S. intelligence says Russia is attacking American democracy.
Oh.
Trump could axe major new start nuclear deal with Russia. Allies fear. The unanswered question of our time, is Trump an agent of ours? Russia's coronavirus drug to be sold in 23 countries. Economic recovery. Venus is a Russian. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, do you remember that one? Venus was declared a Russian planet. Bless that little cotton sock.
I heard that.
I'm not sure.
I heard that too.
That goes back. Okay, so this goes back to history. This goes back to the English.
They stopped me at the border. They stopped me at the border.
It's just like
I just went to Japan.
Oh, this is a good one.
I'm going to Japan right now.
In the Russian Google News, is Russia interfering in the 2020 elections? Yes, here's how.
Evan, when you go to Japan, I want to see if you and I get the same headline, because I'm in Japan right now. Right. And I'm sure the shit show people are like, why do they keep freezing?
Yeah, sorry guys.
I know.
We're hopping networks.
All right, Japan, I'm going to Google News.
Action.
Yeah, I got so much shit going on right now. All right, my top one. Japan. Trump again casts doubt on whether he'll accept election result in latest unfounded attack on voting process.
That is my headline as well.
And then I have McConnell challenger Amy McGrath calls for Kentucky AG to release grand jury report on Breonna Taylor case.
That is not mine. I got Seattle cop put on leave after apparently to roll bike over protester.
Oh yeah, he rolled his. Was it a motorbike or a
Oh, I saw that video. What the fuck do you think?
So it's interesting because do y'all remember when the news was news and everybody had the same news? Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
In the before time, the old time when truth was truth and fact was fact.
I do remember that.
And we walked both ways up school barefoot in the snow.
You went to school barefoot? I had to crawl on my fucking knees. I just went to Yahoo News for shits and giggles. I really hate this bullshit. I don't actually. Please update your settings. No. Fuck off. 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 Reject all. Fuck off. My God, how many fucking things does non-framework partners? How much crap? Verizon, where the hell is
Are you watching the traffic?
where's bloody where is he? Where's that's son of a bitch. Jason, we need to have a conversation about the shit that you call Verizon Media Yahoo News.
That's right.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Ryan froze.
There
Ryan
are
froze.
I'm back.
there are 2
I went
pages.
to Germany.
Yeah, Germany is slow because you're choppy.
But I'm back in the U.S. today.
Legitimate interest.
Back in USSA. No, that's not right.
That was the Beatles song, remix style.
I just changed it for my own purpose. All right, we'll have to do this. So rules of engagement, we'll have to figure that out. Because Ryan, I like your idea about come up with your own search criteria, blah blah blah. You know, do your research and then do it. You know, change your geolocation, VPN. You know,
See how your
Whatever.
rules change.
Yeah.
so I like that.
Yahoo.
And then I
Oh,
also
come on.
I-
Yahoo's even worse.
I also want to. Oh really?
Oh hell yeah! So I'm okay. So I'm sitting on 2 different Yahoo Newses right next to each other. I've got my U.S. Yahoo News. Small number of ballots for Trump found in trash is the prime one. In the I'm out of Estonia. Out of Estonia, Louisville Police Mayor BLM will be washing our cars. Major.
I have
bridge
that one.
Yeah, everybody keeps talking about the plane baby on the plane. And in the US, it's all Sheryl Crow. Everybody keeps talking tennis star Jessica Alba and Naomi Osaka. Whereas over here, it's BYU player with COVID, more evidence that COVID is a racial pandemic, which unfortunately there's a lot of challenges on that one. Joe Rogan snags a Lake Austin mansion. But yeah, the top one is basically the Louisville mayor. Yeah, this is really scary. So I mean, it's again. Anyway, we digress.
So yeah, we'll do some emails, establish the ROE, and then we'll move forward. But I think
John Legend cheated.
it'll be an interesting thought experiment.
So sad.
What? That there's no more truth? That your news and my news are
No,
guaranteed to be different?
no, I already knew that. No,
What's
I'd
gonna
already
be
come to
interesting-
reconcile
What's going to be interesting
that.
is not just the flat news pages, it's when we search for things. That's what I'm going to be intrigued about, is messing around with search criteria and
Yep.
when we search for things and how that's going to be reflected in it.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see how you guys Google. Because over the years, I have made a living off of being able to ask and answer questions from Google
Right.
that for some reason other people could not seem to find.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll find it in 2.5 seconds. It's like, here, I asked it this. Here's 10,000 resources to solve this problem. I've been searching for 2 weeks. I found a damn thing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what you guys throw in.
I like this idea.
Hell yeah.
And to that point, we are. Let me get into the drive. Where are we? Security shit show, Excel spreadsheet. And you guys still have access to it, yeah?
Yep.
Good. Goes on. All right. So October. Evan, we're doing this. Evan, can you do me a huge big favor when you get chance? Drop in at some point, get the updates in there for the last couple on this one and the next one. If you don't mind, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. And then, whoa, that didn't work. All right, I'll mess around with dates because we got October the 1st. So I say October the 1st, yours is, Ryan, yours is the next one. And then after that, I've got
What do I got in there?
You have shitty coworkers.
That's a good one.
That's easy. Buck them over the head and take them out into the park with a couple of boxes of lime or something. And we got what, the 8th?
That was actually inspired by a call I had with a friend of mine who works at a very well-known establishment, and they have all the money in the world for security, and they have all the executive backing, and they have all the everything that you would ever want to have. And yet they fight each other just for the sake of fighting each other.
Yeah, that's
It's
just
the dumbest thing. I take these calls from him and I'm like, what a miserable situation. Like, you know, at the end, you're right and they're wrong, and that will come out. But why do you have to slog it out for months on end for you to finally have to go up ladder and go, and then they come down and go, what the fuck?
right.
Like, and all these people are very well compensated. I just don't understand it. So, I
When's
want
election day in this lunatic asylum that we live in? 2nd of November?
we can do it sooner. We can shuffle some stuff around.
No. When is election day?
Oh,
November
election day.
3rd.
Third. Okay, so if we back into it, so 29th of October would be the last one we would do. So I say let's do the 15th, 22nd, and 29th. You want to do like those last three?
I'm into it.
I'm good.
All right, I'll put some updates in there.
Cool. Cool.
Cool.
What the hell
All
are we
right.
talking about again?
Chris,
We were talking about Chris.
No, do you notice the upgrade to the patch box?
I do. I see the one on. Yeah, I see the one on the bottom. That's fantastic.
You can't-
Actually, the two. I'm sorry, there are both of them there.
Yeah, you can't see it unfortunately, but the up on the Lego set, there's a couple of little space aliens.
Did they turn up?
They did, and they're turning up around the house.
Fantastic. That makes me happy.
One floating in the toilet at some point just to annoy my wife.
Oh, no. That's cruel, but I love the idea. Oh dear. Oh, all right.
One night she went to bed, and when she woke up the next morning, Bill Murray was like everywhere in the house. Every cupboard door, you'd open it, there was a Bill Murray picture of from, you know, countless movies. I stayed up all night to come out. They were on the floor. They were on the walls. Just like,
Love it.
what did you do?
And we're going to ask a question about the t-shirts. So I'm in a meeting with t-shirt person. Jen's meeting with them. We're actually in the middle of conversations. I think it's either tomorrow or Monday. So that's getting there, slowly but surely.
Good.
I'm beat. I am absolutely beat. Gotta be honest. I'm not. If we call it early tonight, I am not going to complain. I'm pretty flipping tired.
I'm okay with it, dude. I have not recovered from the journey. It was, dude. It was just, you know, and then you know the last hour,
Yeah.
me and her got real punchy with each other.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're good now. Go to the last gas station and my card gets declined for fraud. Oh yes. I tell you, my friend, every single step was a battle. Every fucking moment. We made it to the grocery store the night before we camped, you know, in Nebraska coming back. Made it to the grocery store with like 35 seconds to spare. Like, it was just, and I laugh about it because that's how I deal with these things. But like every flippin' deal, at one point I had to, the belt started to scream.
Oh, on the engine?
Yep, we did about 200 miles with the belts going.
Oh.
And then the side window wouldn't close right, so it was whistling. I love it. I'll get it all fixed.
Oh, you got to get it all done in writing as well.
But
yeah, you got to get it all done in writing as well.
oh god, dude, it just did. And then I came home. I told you the kid decided while I was out of town to be a rascal and have
Not smart. Not smart.
not
mean-
really. Although the neighbors are cooler than I realized, because when I asked about it, they're like, nothing happened.
Oh, love it.
I'm like, no, my shit's fucked up. Something happened.
Yeah.
They're like, no, nothing happened.
Uh-huh.
Apparently the neighbors are super cool. They're not gonna rat the kid out. You know.
All low cameras. Tell all, believe me.
I don't wanna, but
I
I'm gonna
know.
have to. Yeah, there's just something about me and cameras inside the house that I just don't.
No, I mean, most of mine are outside. I got the 2 inside facing windows, and I got the 1 in Jen's office, making sure that just, again, it's the base level windows. Everything else is outside. It's all outside deliberately. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Evan about this. Every parent I think has had a visit from the broken stuffed ghost.
Yes. Yes. I don't know how that happened.
I
I
have
have no
no
clue.
idea.
I found it like that, and the 25 other excuses that we used when we were younger that are now getting
Absolutely.
replayed to us.
Broken stuffed ghost was my best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know. Wasn't me. And when you watch that YouTube link I sent you, you will.
I'll hit that one with John.
appreciate
I'll
it.
sit down and decompress for that.
If you've never heard it before, you have to listen to the whole thing, even if it's not your style.
All right, I will do. I haven't heard it before. I was looking at it, I'm like, I don't even recognize this. So
No, it is an anthem from my youth that you have. And when you hear it, you're gonna go, okay.
oh, that's funny. All right, I'll definitely have to hit that. All right. Did we lose Evan?
I don't know. He said be right back. I think he's saying
Yeah, no, he probably
I have
will.
no idea.
Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
working on the she shed. He's been building the she shed lately. So
I saw some pictures on Twitter. I'm like, holy! Again, I have a ton of. I mean, you with the blacksmithing and everything, and all the RV stuff, and him with that. I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, these things are really good on keyboards, but they ain't much use for much else.
they work on all kinds of stuff. You just got to know what to do.
Yeah, I know.
He's back.
Yeah.
What's up?
Everything come out okay?
Yeah, no, I had to go check on my meat.
Oh,
Are you making yummy smoky stuff?
Always. I started a brisket last night at 10 p.m. My wife thought I was easy.
Are you still cooking that brisket?
No, I finished that about 10 a.m. this morning and started up a pork butt just for
Okay.
What are you using? A smoker, I assume.
yeah, a barrel
I've got
smoker.
A what?
A barrel smoker, just a drum smoker.
Evan does it the old school way.
So none of this electrically belt fed, feed it in stuff. This is the old way.
Yeah, we call those pellet poopers.
I cheat with a propane smoker.
So that was I've seen the electric ones. I'm using propane. I use propane for the grill. Over the last few years, I've gotten into this whole grill thing. I'm actually not bad on it. I could cook things properly for different people, and I don't just kill it and barbecue it until it's black and smoky for me. I can actually make sure that something still kind of looks like an animal for other people.
Right.
But the smoker thing has always intrigued me because there's a part of me that wants to go the easier route. Plug it into an electrical socket, press go, and let it go for how long it needs to, and hopefully out of the other end comes some kind of smelly.
It's not as good. It's not as good. I started out on charcoal smoker, similar to how Evan's doing it. His is a little bit of a nicer setup than what I had, but charcoal first. Did that for about 6-8 rounds. And then I said, boy, I'd like some time back. So then I got a propane smoker. It's the thing, man. It's the thing. It's a labor of love.
You can make anything. It has to start with a good cut of meat, right? That's number one.
Totally. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So it's worth the extra money to get, a super, because no matter how you smoke it, if it's a shit meat, it's a shit cut. It's a shit cut. So
absolutely, yeah.
So if you take a really good cut of meat, and I've had awesome barbecue from propane smokers, awesome from pellet poopers. It's just you know, it's your craft. It's how you do it, and I respect it all. It's just I like the time because I sit there like I've done. There was one time I've multiple times I've done a full brisket, and you know, it was for like people were coming over for like lunch, so I started it at like 10 at night and sat and watched it. And I had a really big smoker. Then I had a Lifetime smoker, which is like freaking huge. It's 1/4 inch steel. It's like the shit,
I'm looking
heavy
at
as
it
hell.
now.
Yeah, Lifetime. So LYF time, or is
Yeah,
it
there we go.
LI?
Lifetime developed in Texas.
Yeah. So those are so fun. I
Oh,
liked it, but
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my gosh, I've seen those before. Holy smoke.
Yeah. The big rig.
Yeah,
Kind of looks like a potbelly stove.
there we go. Yeah, exactly. Tiff and Todd did something similar to this before. Oh, interesting.
yeah, I got rid of that smoker because it was just it ended up being too much, believe it or
Got
not.
it.
So then I went with a straight drum smoker, and yeah, you know, teach his own. It's just I like the art.
I'm excited for you to try my ribs.
Oh yeah, man. I think not. I mean, you
I'm,
seen this
I'm
body?
excited.
I got room for it.
Well, you're a connoisseur, and so
It's true.
I
It's true.
I know your
We were
eye.
talking
Ooh, I found a bright red one. Oh, it's bright. Oh,
life.
and they got bright blue ones. Oh, score.
Where at Lifetime?
No, it's a Gateway drum smoker. Gateway drum. Holy shit, it's a 50. All right, I am in love. Oh, I'm sending you guys the link. I'll probably have to. No, I'm not sharing screen. Sod off. What am I
Oh
doing?
yeah,
Chat. There we go. Oh my
that's a
god.
beautiful spot. I see it. The 5 gallon.
Oh yeah.
I got a 404.
Yep.
My gosh,
That'd make.
this thing is.
You got a
I
404?
wouldn't know how to use it, but it looks amazing.
Oh, it's a piece of cake, man.
Yeah.
That smoker. Yeah, that smoker. You fill it once with
The hell, Chris? What kind of shady link did you send me?
What did it do?
You look.
404 page not found.
Sorry. I apologize.
Yeah,
I'm looking at a
dude.
red smoker. I'm looking at a red drum smoker on my page. What's everybody else looking at? Did I get yelled at by everybody else?
But on that smoker, Chris, it's a piece of cake. You get your charcoal going,
Yeah,
throw some wood chips on it,
right.
and you'll control the heat with the air flow, and so you'll dial it in. You'll get it. Oh,
Just
depends.
don't trust the temperature gauge that comes with it.
Do what?
And it depends on how smoky you like your meat. If you
Got
like
it.
it really smoky, like a real thick smoke ring, if you get too smoky, you'll get the shits. So just be
Right.
careful.
Got it. I probably
You
won't
know,
get
but
this.
get your.
I'll talk with
I'll
Jesse.
get
No,
Is that-
don't do
I
that.
$900.
If it's too smoky, you get the shits. That's a lot for that. That's
It's expensive. It definitely seems to be the Mercedes slash Bentley of smokers. My concern is, I think for me, I'd want to start off with something a little bit more civilized. Figure it out, like anything. Start off. It's like we did with the. It's like we did with the.
Right.
With the moonshine. Yeah, you don't start going into a 50-gallon one. You start off like 1020s and just go, okay, hey, I got this figured out. We got this figured out. Now we can do something a little bit more expansive.
this is the
Here,
one.
I'll tell you. I'll show,
Oh wow, the Oklahoma Joe one looks pretty awesome. That looks pretty cool.
I just put the link in the chat. The one I have.
here's the one you want to start
You
with.
think my link looks smoky? Yours looks like your link looks scary. Oh, it's a Cabela's one.
This is the one you want to start with, Chris. Right here. Right there.
Ryan, yours looks like it looks like a safe. It looks like there's something you put guns in.
Yep. You put them ribs in it, and boy, they come out magical.
Oh, no hassle, no guesswork. It's amazing food, shop cookers, shop accessories. It literally looks like a small drum. The pit barrel.
Yep.
Cook-
That's what you want to start with.
Well, that looks cool. All right, I might have to mess with this.
Yeah, this.
Awesome. Thank
there.
you.
And you can even get a Marine Corps insignia on it. Boom. Semper Fi.
See if they can get British roaming commandos. I'll be happy. We'll have a conversation with them. I'm pretty darn sure they can do it.
British people don't know how to smoke meat, man. Come on.
British people don't know.
I've had the food.
My understanding of a barbecue before I came to this country was one of those ones that I think in this country you maybe can buy at the 7-Eleven in an emergency. It's the little tin, it's like the little tin foil thing with a bit of barbecue stuff and the thing, and you do that. That was the barbecuing back in my neck of the woods.
Oh no.
We get the little half a thing. Yeah, it ain't pretty. We'll just it's not pretty. The amount of times I tried it, it didn't end well. Now I've got shit figured out. But again, it's propane, I will admit. I do like I like the idea of propane, but I also like the idea of taking time and doing it this way.
So the propane still requires a fair amount of time. The key with the propane is you're not using coals to control the heat, so you have a stable heat.
Right.
But you have to balance that against your smoke. So obviously, when smoking, you're burning wood. Burning wood affects the temperature. So you still have to strike a balance. You still have to air and feed for it, but not as intensely as just straight coal smoke.
This is what we ran into. So this is probably why the Traegers, the electrical ones, are probably so good, because we ran into this with the moonshine stuff. Traditionally, you want to do moonshine with a naked flame, propane or something, or naked flame, particularly for propane. But the challenge with doing it with propane is, again, you can't moderate the heat as effectively with most of the propane burners that we use on that kind of stuff. Plus, also, unfortunately, you get too high heat on the propane burner, and all of a sudden your silver welds start to look a little dicey. So a lot of the stuff and the newer stuff that we have is all basically, it's all electric, because I've got much more effective control over it. Am I cheating a bit? Absolutely. I'll put my hand up to it. But do I have much? I need to control the temperature at a certain temperature degree, and I have to hold it there for 10 to 15 minutes until tops of tails come off.
Yeah, but that's where the art comes in.
Yes.
I guarantee you the best moonshine in the world is one that got a little too hot and a little too cold. A little too hot and a little too cold. And it was done over a open fire using nothing but lumber.
Yep.
I'm telling you, the best ribs I've ever made deviated off of 225 multiple times, one way or the other, as I was playing. But when they were done,
well, that's the thing, man. You never ever. I've never two barbecues that have been the same.
Right.
And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, I hand make my rubs every time, so I never made the same rub twice. It's what I feel like at the time. So, you'll throw some, always start with brown sugars, that gives you a nice stickiness, and you get a nice bark with brown sugar. I love the bark. So, brown sugar base, and then throw like salt in there, throw pepper, throw whatever the fuck you want in it. And,
They have US Coast Guard.
It's never 2 times in a row.
They have US Coast. Okay, they'll keep the Rugrat happy. I'll keep the Rugrat happy. Oh, they got blue line, green. They got green line. Okay, this is kind of cool. All right, like these folks. I can probably send them a message and say, hey, can you put a Roman Commandos one on there for me, please?
Right. Well, and it's just rivets, so you could pop the rivets and put your own on there too.
No.
Yeah. Barbecue.
Oh, like
so that's what I was doing. I was checking on the meat. Looking good.
Got it.
This is the shit show. We went from accountability to barbecue. Who doesn't like barbecue? It's delicious. I'm excited. I'm excited to come and smoke the meats and partake in the ritual of the smoking of the meats. It is very much you have got to take that RV you've got, get yourself a smoker, get your ass to Minnesota.
I'm up for it. I'm up for it. I'm not bringing the whiskey.
We'll show you a good time. You'll see. If you're brave enough, the winter, or I should say dumb enough to come in the winter.
No, don't do that.
I
I
look-
leave in the winter, man. I got a trip scheduled for 2 weeks in where am I going? 2 weeks in Cancun. I got 2 weeks in Daytona in March for the bike rally there. And then I'm trying to fill up February right now. I can't stand winter. Fuck this place. I swear a lot tonight. Sorry.
You're believe me, more
Show.
often than not, it's me going at it. So all right, I'll do some research on this one. All right, I'm gonna go curl up, I think, for a little bit.
And we can meet halfway too. I got Jared. Remember this morning, Ryan?
Yeah.
You were talking to Jared. He's
Yep.
in what, Montana?
Yeah.
I think. He's a camper, so that'd be fun, right? The four of us, somewhere in the middle of South Dakota somewhere.
Yeah,
You'll have to come with me, Ryan, or I'll tow your truck so you stay within the 600 miles. I'll just tow yours half the way.
The 6 mile rule applies to her as a passenger. It does not apply to me.
Oh, well, then put her in my truck. We'll be fine. She can talk to Marlis.
I'll bring the RV along as well. We got 2 decent RVs. We'll be fine.
Yep. All right. So accountability. Okay. What?
I said I'll bring the shaggin' wagon.
That's a bad visual, brother.
You haven't really seen it up close. Chris got a view. I am not.
What a view of it. It is
Or
it's classic. Yep, it's actually amazing. I was kind of pretty freaking stunned in a very positive way, to be perfectly honest.
Are you saying I haven't seen it up close?
not the insides.
Yeah, I was. You went the first weekend with me.
Oh, duh. I'm
What
dumb.
the fuck, man?
He's
I
getting
have
hell?
old.
It's slow.
I helped you fix some shit on that thing.
You did.
Tried to.
Right, went to Ace, got parts. That's right. You
Yeah.
did. Like,
Yep.
well, you know, shaggin' wagon.
Yeah, I know. I don't like the visual of those two words together. With you and your wife. Put all that together. It doesn't. I don't like it. I feel dirty. Just saying. All right, accountability. Should we wrap this thing up? Accountability.
Yeah.
In our industry, I think it's, do what you can to affect your area of influence. Hold vendors accountable, right? The people you do business with. If the salesperson sold you some shit, they're supposed to do this shit, and it doesn't do that shit, do something about it, right? I think in those cases, you can almost be a jerk, right? Because you were taken advantage of. Don't just roll over and, oh, that's just the way the business goes. No.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
That's what they count on, right? If people don't step up, then they're not going to change. And I think also look for organizations that you can get involved with. 2 that you and I, Ryan, are working with right now. One is the Cybercrime Support Network, and we're going to be working with the Center for Humane Technology, which is Humane Tech. We also, have huge respect for Gabriel and the work he's doing over at Wiser. So working with him.
ILF, and then there's the mentor program and a bunch of others. So I think it's a lot. To your point, it's get involved. It's get involved. It's make a difference.
Let's create a list, you guys. Maybe after tonight, sometime in the next couple of days, create a list of all the organizations in our industry that you're involved with that you can recommend, and then let's post it, on the Security Shit Show blog.
Yeah.
So that people can choose some place to get involved. If you're not getting involved, you can't complain.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry.
I like that idea. That's kind of cool. That works.
And then within your own organization, if there's not accountability established, depending on where you fit in the organization, if you're an information security leader, it's your job to establish clear accountability, right? Who does what, who's responsible for what, At the end of the day, executive management is the one that's ultimately responsible for information security in your organization. Whether they like it or not, that's where the buck stops.
True.
Do what?
True.
Do they know it? If they don't, it's your job to tell them. And the way you can always measure that is if they're not getting regular updates on the status of the information security program, depending on no matter how you want to communicate it, we communicate it at Security Studio with this S2 score, right? But whatever you choose, if they're not getting regular periodic updates, if there's no engagement from the top on information security, that's a telltale sign that they don't get the fact that they're accountable for this.
Right.
Period. Things that you can do in your neighborhood, go ask, we did a thing on, the Unsecurity podcast where it was kind of a civic duty thing. It was, we asked everybody, and we actually created an email template that you can send to your mayor, your county commissioner. And it's just inquire about status of their information security program and to offer help, right? Because it's not about, this is my city, right? This is where I live. I would hate to be a resident of the city of Baltimore and have to pay that $18 million bill that they had to pay for the ransomware.
Right.
With no accountability. Did shit change? I don't know. I hope so.
If it does, it won't change for long. That's part of the problem. Unless
exactly, and Ryan
owns it. Unless somebody does that, is it going to change for long?
Exactly. And Ryan, you started off, when I kind of opened up the show, you started off with, basically everybody's got a role. Everybody's got responsibilities, right? At home, the things that happen in this house are my responsibility. That's just the way it works here, right? The things that my daughter is doing on her cell phone, that's my responsibility.
Yep.
The traffic that comes in and out of this house is my responsibility. The things that go on the television is my responsibility. So stepping up and taking accountability for those things, it's okay to ask your kids what they're doing, right? Their safety is at risk, right? And one of the things I advise everybody is to watch The Social Dilemma, right? The suicide rate in teenage girls aged 11-14 since 2011 has nearly tripled.
And there's a reason for that. And
well, if you look at that trend, man, the decades before that, it was flat.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about the plastic surgery to look more like the filters?
Oh, yeah. And that's sad.
You can plastic surgery to look more like the filters.
So take responsibility yourself for your own area of influence, right? If you're a person who doesn't have a leadership position in information security, which I doubt many of us don't have that, then play by the rules. And if you don't know the rules, ask.
Yeah.
If you work in an organization and you're not the CISO, go find out from the CISO, what are the rules? What is my role?
Yep. And what can I do to help, to influence, to do better? What can I do? I got some stuff. I got time. I want to help. That's the other part of it, letting people know.
For real.
Absolutely, man, because the status quo ain't working. Somebody's got to take this bull by the horns.
Yeah, big time.
All right. Well, I love you guys. I preached a little bit, but I'm tired of it. I'm tired of getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, good topic tonight. Thank you. Seriously, thank you.
All right, guys. Yeah, you too.
Well, you guys, take care.
It's always awesome.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.